Episode 7 of Rabbit Hole, titled Gilgamesh, finds we're trying to figure out all the fact and fiction of what he believes and what he doesn't believe, and running different scenarios in his head, trying to figure out the final conclusion of what he thinks is the right thing to do or not to do. And basically, he has this idea in his head, and we find that Nora Evers proposed bill about the act of privacy with kind of how cell phones and satellites work is being passed through, and the president is going to sign it in 2 days. Now, we do see that Haley, Ben, and John are looking through this silver briefcase that Nora Evers has, and it's just numbers, numbers upon numbers upon numbers, which are corporate numbers for corporate businesses and shell companies, which kind of funded money all in and out of certain ways in order to fund, I believe, Nora Evers. And she had that in order to hide certain things. Now, we see we're talking to someone over and over again. It's like, you can't trust him. Who? So then Ben leaves, goes to an electronics store and talks to who we think is Valance. We then see Valance alive. And it's like, what? How did he survive that fall? Well, as the John is talking to someone, he's giving these numbers for, of course, the ciphers and the codex and everything, and he's breaking it down and it says, Ben used us. So we see that Ben's the father kind of used Valance and his son to order certain things are happening, and then we find the truth about what happened. All the while, we see Maddie, agent FBI Maddie, doing her own research of taking files, bring up a case for her, and she's just trying to figure things out of why it's happening and what's going on. Haley then kind of takes a thumb drive and meets with someone. And it's Agent Maddie, and she gives Maddie the thumb drive. Maddie then takes it to her director, the FBI director, and says, "You need to look at this. You wouldn't believe me if I didn't." So they read up on it. We don't know what it is, but then we see, and I'm watching, and I'm like, this guy can't be trusted, and he can't. And basically, he says to Maddie, like, what will it take for this file for you to know that it never existed? What? Excuse me? What is absolutely happening right now? So Maddie's like, I want my old job back, and I want to lead the task force against John Weir. So he was like, okay. So it's like, wait a minute, why did Haley give this to Maddie? Is she an informant in a way? And what is all this whole cat and mouse game that's being played? It's absolutely insane. So then, in a way, Haley finds John, or Weir for that matter, and then he kind of like maneuvers out, and we see Valance meeting with someone, and he puts on gloves, and it's another briefcase, and we don't know what's in the briefcase, but he's meeting with another gentleman who has a kind of European accent for that matter. And all the while this is happening, um, the wife, Weir's wife, gets a package in the mail. John goes over, opens a package, and sees something, and sees a tablet. And it's the Gilgamesh tablet, or Gilgamesh being so how for Valance and Weir communicated back and forth by kind of Valance calming Weir down because, Weir doesn't understand what to believe and what not to believe, and to believe of everything that's going on around him. Then, as he's walking, he gets attacked by the intern Kyle. Kyle then takes him to see Peter Weller's character of Crowley, who we think is Crowley, but is it? And as he's sitting there out in the open in a courtyard area around surrounded by office buildings, um, Weir just gives him a right sucker punch, knocks him down, keeps it, and tries to choke him, but just sees an earpiece, takes the earpiece, and we hear another voice. And this voice was telling Peter Weller's character, Crowley, of what to do, or is the person in the earpiece Crowley? So basically, this whole aspect of things was going on. It's like he sounded like, oh yeah, your father Ben was living 3 doors down from you in a nice little brownstone, but you didn't know it. He wasn't away trying to hunt thieves or me, and the whole aspect of what was going on and what was real. So then all this shit is fed into Weir's head, and Weir doesn't know what to believe. He goes back to the hideout place, and it's like, okay, what's going on? He goes into his father's room, sees a gun, takes a gun, and confronts his father. And in a quick flash, you see him pull the trigger, and you think he shoots his father, but he doesn't. But it's the kind of scenario that's playing in his head. And as that happens, before he attempts to or attacks his father, he throws down the tablet on the table. It breaks open. Ham looks at it, opens it, takes out a little flash drive, and then puts it into the computer. And it's Valance. Valance is talking to Weir for a last will and testament, for so to speak, before evidently he jumped. This entire episode was a flashback and in present day of seeing the way Valance communicated with Weir. And we see that Crowley used Valance's information and notes to kind of manipulate Weir into thinking that his father was the one that was doing everything in order to get ahead of everything. But Valance says that no, you need to trust everyone. You need to trust your father. Trust someone, because what's happening, what Crowley found out, this is going to be hurting us all. And by the time you're seeing this, you know that something didn't go right for me, but hopefully for you it did. So we see that Valance then takes the little thumb drive, or the micro SD card, excuse me, and puts it in the Gilgamesh tablet, glues it together, and then sends it in the mail. And then we see the scenario of him going back to his office, and then we're saying, what the fuck is going on? If you remember that, and then if you go back and watch that episode where he confronts Valance before Valance jumps off the building, the Gilgamesh tablet is not there. I didn't see that at all. Didn't pay attention to it the first time it was shown, but they showed it in a flashback in this episode, and it was shown, and it was like, oh wow, holy shit. So all the while, they have to stop the president from signing this executive order or this bill to go forward, where Crowley is able to see everyone's information in the world, not just the United States, but the world, and where he can manipulate things. And basically, this episode was showing what he can do with information. Like, he used Valance's information to talk to Weir in order to get Weir to think that his father was actually behind everything and used them, but it wasn't. So good thing Valance did make this video on this SD card and to send it. And it was really smart as well to send it to the ex-wife, because the ex-wife is not involved in anything at all. A lot of stuff is happening. This is an 8-episode first season. I am crossing my fingers and I'm hoping that this gets picked up for a second season. Or if not, then episode 8, the season finale, has to wrap everything up in a nice, cohesive way. Who's Crowley? I really don't think Peter Weller's character is Crowley. It's just a decoy. I'm thinking the president is Crowley, because, it keeps anticipating this. Who is Haley? If Haley is someone we don't think she is, or someone who we thought she was, it would bring down the story a little bit, because it's like, what's going on? And what's happening with Maddie? Like, the FBI directors now is like, oh, this file, I've never seen it. What's going to happen with that? Edward Hom, how is he going to play a factor in this? I like the character, but he likes his fame knowing that he's actually dead, and this one podcaster just talking about him. He's like, I'm going to uncover the truth about Edward Hom. Well, it's slowly happening. And Charles Dance as Dr. Ben Wilson is believable and fun as playing the father to John Weir's character, but it's really, really great. Seeing Valance once again is great, but I'm curious to see where all the dominoes fall in the right order before actually happening in the end, of seeing what was all this deception and this cat and mouse game, and the aspect of what is this whole story about, and the whole mentality, the psychiatric part, the psychology level of everything that's going on with Weir's character, and how Valance was the only one to bring Weir down to level form, and everyone else is just going crazy around him. And Haley is trying to do her best, but I feel like she's stepping too far in, and I don't know. Still, questions need to be answered, and I'm hoping the season 1 finale, episode 8, gives us those answers. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 7 of Rabbit Hole, titled Gilgamesh. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the story dynamic, the aspect? Do you think Peter Weller's character is really Crowley? Who do you think Crowley is? Who do you think Haley is? Do you think that she is the character that she's been since the beginning of this series? Is there a bigger picture for Agent FBI Maddie? And do you trust Dr. Ben Wilson, Weir's father, and do you think Weir is going through crazy things, or is it just him being kind of traumatized all his life because his father was this one big asshole to him, but he needs his help? And how do you think everything's going to wrap up in the season finale? And do you wish to see a season 2? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked about episode 7 of Rabbit Hole titled Gilgamesh. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new review videos on my channel. I'll see you all in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 8 season 1 finale review of Rabbit Hole.